Hello there, guys, and welcome to Daily Updates. We are just coming from a very interesting meeting between President Cyril Ramaphosa and President Donald Trump. And now we have another interesting update. This time back in South Africa, Thabo Mbeki was addressing the lecture that was focusing on the state of the continent of Africa. And he did not really forget to include Jacob Zuma. Well, not really indirectly mentioning him as the president at the time when a resolution was taken on Libya and Gaddafi, the termination of Gaddafi. It is very interesting to really listen to Thabo Mbeki, a scholar, a very intelligent old man who really knows how to put words, but we all know it is directed at Jacob Zuma. Please have a listen.
I'm mentioning this to colleagues to say there's a relationship between the collapse of the G8 Africa Action Plan and mutual accountability and the destruction of the state of Libya. The two are related. And the relationship is, both of them reflected our weakness. They reflected our weakness as the African continent. I remember that when the Security Council met to discuss the resolution on Libya, the South African ambassador at the Security, he was a temporary member of the Security Council at the time. He ran away and tried to hide somewhere. Because his instruction from his boss in South Africa had been to vote in favor of the resolution. And the master disagreed with that. But he couldn't disagree with his president. So the best way to do was to hide under the table. So he went and hid himself somewhere. And the US ambassador, the Security Council looked for him. Obviously mobilized all the states, institutions of the United States, and they found him. And they took him physically into the UN chamber so that he must vote for this resolution, which he did.
So I think we all heard Thabo Mbeki correctly, a member of the Security Council from South Africa on the resolution of Libya. The man decided to go and hide because he did not want to vote on the termination of Muammar Gaddafi, which was really going to bring Libya to its knees. We can now see what is happening in Libya. So basically the man decided to go and hide. But the president at that time, which was Jacob Zuma, he told the guy to go back and vote. I mean, this is plain and simple. Thabo Mbeki is indirectly telling us that when they were making a decision on Libya, Muammar Gaddafi, we know how they killed him. But when they were making that decision and they were voting, a member of the Security Council from South Africa decided, I'm not taking part, but he was forced. So he's plainly trying to say, had it not been to some of our leaders who decided to force people because they were aligning with the West, Muammar Gaddafi wouldn't have been dead. Libya wouldn't be the same Libya that we see now. That is plain and simple. And I look back at the history of Jacob Zuma and Thabo Mbeki, and you know, this year and last year alone, Thabo Mbeki has been saying a lot of things about Jacob Zuma, and I haven't heard Jacob Zuma saying anything. I'm not trying to take a side on this, but you know what happened with Thabo Mbeki and Jacob Zuma? How at one point Jacob Zuma was the deputy president, got fired, and Jacob Zuma came back and made sure that through Julius Malema working together, made sure that Thabo Mbeki resigns.
Convince themselves that the road ahead is still too long, the inclines too steep, the loneliness impossible to bear, and the prize itself of doubtful value. Once more, I thank you most sincerely for affording me the opportunity to serve you and to serve the people of Africa. Thank you, ngiyathokoza, ngiyaleboga, ndolibuwa, ndiyabulela, nzakhensa, bayadanki, ngiyabonga.
And it was the saddest moment for Thabo Mbeki, and I think since that time, he's always been looking for revenge, just to really shame the man Jacob Zuma. And I think he got it when they finally forced Jacob Zuma to resign, and you think the score has been settled because it started with Thabo Mbeki and it went to Jacob Zuma. So one would really think that the score has been settled, but it looks like Thabo Mbeki is not satisfied. Maybe because Jacob Zuma decided to try and break the ANC by forming MK party. Maybe it could be that reason. But as we are looking at it, Thabo Mbeki will never sleep peacefully until the name Jacob Zuma is exposed and crushed. Because the relevance of what he's telling us now, it goes together with what just happened in the US. Many people are really glorifying Jacob Zuma, saying he wouldn't really align with the West. He wouldn't really be shaken up by the West like Ramaphosa has been done. And I think Thabo Mbeki is coming to the rescue of Cyril Ramaphosa by saying Jacob Zuma is no saint. If you want to really look at the history, forget about what happened in South Africa and how his name has been all involved in the wrong things. But Jacob Zuma, when you want to really know more about him, just look at Libya. Thabo Mbeki is telling us that Jacob Zuma is not a good person because he contributed to the termination of Muammar Gaddafi and the destruction of Libya. Indirectly so, because if we are listening to what he's saying, the mere fact that this person never wanted to go and vote on the resolution and at one point he decided to go and hide, but after that, Jacob Zuma forced this man to go and vote. So we hear you, Thabo Mbeki, and I think really it is loud and clear. As much as Jacob Zuma is not really responding, but Thabo Mbeki keeps hitting. I think it's for the third time he's been speaking about Jacob Zuma. Last he spoke about Robben Island, and the other time he spoke about how Jacob Zuma was not trusted in terms of the old MK, his role in the MK, how the fact that he's not really an innocent man, he has dirty hands. So the man will never rest. But again, let us listen to that video again just to really understand where Thabo Mbeki is coming from and where he's trying to go with this narrative of Libya. Have a listen.
I remember that when the Security Council met to discuss the resolution on Libya, the South African ambassador at the Security, he was a member, temporary member of the Security Council at the time. He ran away and tried to hide somewhere. Because his instruction from his boss in South Africa had been to vote in favor of the resolution. And the master disagreed with that. But he couldn't disagree with his president. So the best way to do was to hide under the table. So he went and hid himself somewhere. And the US ambassador, the Security Council looked for him. Obviously mobilized all the states, institutions of the United States, and they found him. And they took him physically into the UN chamber so that he must vote for this resolution, which he did.
So guys, there you have it. Thabo Mbeki is not resting. He's a very great statesman, and I really have a lot of respect for him. But the things that we don't know, yes, we are getting the information from Thabo Mbeki. It could be true. And Jacob Zuma could come and really counter. But one thing I know, the decision that was made on Muammar Gaddafi, it really impacted Africa. Because it is going to be used as an example, even in later years, when some leader, we have Ibrahim Traore. If now they feel like he's a threat, the West feels like he's a threat, they are going to take the same route that they took with Muammar Gaddafi. And African leaders, they are the ones who are supposed to protect each other. I mean, if really Muammar Gaddafi to their eyes was a bad man, they should have really come up with a solution on dealing with Muammar Gaddafi as a leader, rather than the way they did it. Because you look at how Libya was before, it's up for debate. How Libya was before when he was in charge, and how it has turned out now. There is slavery there in Libya. Libyans are going inside boats to just cross the ocean and go to Europe. Most of them are dying. I mean, like, this is not the same country that we saw when Muammar Gaddafi was alive. So it really comes to show us that even though we have a lot of tyrants in Africa, they need to really make proper decisions. And I think one of the other problems that the tyrants are making is that they never know when to leave. There is a guy next door to us, Robert Mugabe from Zimbabwe. He's dead now. That man never wanted to leave the seat until he died. They are always hungry for power, these people. He never wanted to leave that seat of presidency until he died. So he died on the chair. One of the biggest problems with African leaders is that they never know when to let go. They don't take the example of Nelson Mandela, who just sat for one term and said, I am enough. I'm going to rest. I'll just be an old statesman. I'm not going to take part in running this country. But the most of our leaders, especially the old ones, they've been in power. You find someone being in power for 40 years and they don't want to let go of their seat. When the West finally decides it's enough, you're going to die mercilessly. Anyway, guys, thank you for tuning into the channel. And again, as I remind you guys, please click that subscribe button so we can go as fast as we can to 250,000 subscribers. Until next time, cheers.